Committee that held that hearing today, Texas Congressman Michael Cloud. Congressman, good to have you on the show, sir.
Oh, good to have you. Man, what a day.
It was a day. It was amazing. You and your colleagues in the subcommittee prosecuted a really important case, helping people understand just how wasteful government bureaucrats are. Give us some of the highlights, things that you think most mattered today to the American public.
Well, we've known something's wrong, right? It's things just aren't working. We're not getting a good ROI for our taxpayer dollar, and we're beginning to see and understand why. When you find out really that in so many ways our tax dollars are going to nefarious purposes. Some of it's just waste, fraud, abuse, mismanagement. But then even within that, one of the things that came up was about the internal threat and the external threat. Billions of our dollars are going overseas to countries that are working against us to undermine us. Some of these monies are going to NGOs that are set up in other countries, even to lobby against American companies that are trying to do business here. We've seen the long list of stuff that's been going to countries for drag shows and crazy stuff like that, across the world. And the American people are sitting back home going, I'm trying to make ends meet, and this is what you're using my tax dollars for? You've been telling me it's been going to things that are important, and this is not. And so all this stuff's coming uncovered, and the American people are seeing that the important work that President Trump's doing, this is a reform election. This is about getting this government working again for the American people, and us here in Congress realizing that we're here to serve the American people. This should be a bipartisan course correction, but they have just lost their minds on the left side of the aisle, so to speak. And as many times as they can say Elon's name, they think it's going to be a win for them. The American people aren't buying it.
I think you're right.
Congressman, I tuned in and out and back in and out of this committee hearing, and I got to tell you, it did not disappoint. It was incredible. But it seemed like towards the end, there was maybe only one Democrat who was left standing. Do you anticipate that at any point Democrats will re-engage and try to get back on the side of getting rid of waste, fraud, and mismanagement? Does it seem like there is any impetus whatsoever for them to want to join the fight?
I hope so. I don't know about you. I remember Bill Clinton standing at the podium and saying the era of big government is over.
That's right.
And of course, since then, it's only grown massively. And now we see, again, that our, in many ways, our government's become a money laundering scheme for these leftist organizations and ideologies. And so this could be a bipartisan issue. Certainly much of the problem has been, and how we got here, been a bipartisan issue in the sense of how it was created, certainly exacerbated over the last 4 years with the Biden administration. But this could be something that we join hands and say, hey, it's time to right the ship. This is waste, fraud, and abuse. We're not even talking about changing policy right now. We're just talking, right now we spend over $2 trillion more a year than we take in. We might be able to cut that in half just by getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. That's not even an argument over policy. That's just getting rid of improper payments and money that's going to crazy things that it shouldn't be going to. And then we can have those substantive conversations over what's really important and what we should be funding. But unfortunately, so far, what we've seen is just, you would think they would have learned the lesson from the election, but it would seem that they have not.
Yeah, it is amazing. Sir, one of the big topics today, Medicaid and all the fraud that can be saved. And that's a big return on investment. Tell us a little bit about what you heard today on that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Improper payments alone could potentially get us about $50 billion a year. And some of the ways that right now, the number one demographic on Medicaid right now is able-bodied people who are able to work. That's not the people that Medicaid was originally designed to help, people who are disabled or children or pregnant moms or these sorts of things. And so, us getting this back to right now, we need people in the workforce, and people should be working if they can work. And so just us taking care of these simple things that are 80% issues with the American people, we can begin to right the ship on these sorts of things. And again, $50 billion of just improper payments. Does anybody disagree with that? Well, apparently today in the committee, people were arguing against us addressing those kind of issues. But again, the American people are with us on this. They want to see a government that functions for them. None of us like paying taxes, but we could understand the need of it. But when it's going to waste, fraud, and abuse, man, that's not what we're supposed to be doing up here. We've got to right this ship. We have to remember it's not our money; it's the American people's money.
Yeah, important point.
Sir, I want to ask you about what happened over on the Senate side of Capitol Hill. So much news coming out, but among it, Tulsi Gabbard confirmed as DNI. This is someone who I think had a relatively rocky road getting to this point. The only Republican who voted against her was former leader and now Senator Mitch McConnell. Your take on that? How big of a reformer is she going to be in that role?
Well, this is going to be great, really. She was actually targeted, and now we have somebody who was targeted now serving as the director of national intelligence. So that's remarkable, and exactly what the American people voted for when they said, we want reform. We don't want a government that's weaponized against us, and what President Trump has done in putting forth a slate of candidates that are coming in not to fill a seat, not to maintain the status quo, not to play bureaucrat, but they're coming in to get changes for the American people. They're not looking for a career of this, but they are coming in, again, to get wins for the American people and to get this government functioning for the people instead of against them. And so it's exciting to see that happening, and it's good to see that the Senate is understanding that President Trump and many of them basically rode his coattails into office, and it's good to see them supporting the president's agenda that needs to happen.
Yeah, no doubt. Real quickly, sir, the progress being made towards Russia-Ukraine peace rapid today, talks going on, optimism. Just get your quick reaction to that.
Yeah, here you see a president who understands that peace through strength isn't just a talking point, and the stability he brings to the world. One of the things we can appreciate his savviness in the economy and what he's done in his first term that we can point to, that we see him already working on in the second term. But some things that people forget is the amazing foreign policy accomplishments he had, the Abraham Accords, him doing everything he can, no new wars started, and really, truly having genuine care and concern. Yes, America first, but we don't want people dying in these other countries as well from needless wars. So let's bring the people to the table. Let's see if we can bring peace. And this is the kind of thing that should be getting you Nobel Peace Prizes if they had their head on straight. But it's good to see the respect that foreign leaders have now for the White House, a stark contrast to where we were just a month ago.
Yeah. So the work you're doing at DOGE, I think, will be generationally impactful. You're going to save future generations a whole lot of debt with the great work you're doing. A great honor to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. God bless y'all.
Yeah, it was.